Hello everyone, and welcome to my Let's Play of Love Guitars and the Nashville Skyline. How are you all doing? I hope you're staying warm in this very cold winter. At least it's a cold winter for me. Might not be for the rest of you, but I hope you're all warm and comfortable and enjoying yourselves. This game was gifted to me by VnixxiR, who, if you're not familiar with her work on YouTube, you should be, because she does a lot of Yuri visual novel Let's Plays, and her videos are a lot funnier than mine. There certainly are less divergent topics and ramblings, as you all know me for. I'll leave a link for her channel in the comment or in the show notes, and go check her out. Good stuff, especially if you like Yuri visual novel Let's Plays that are less rambly than mine are. Anyways, I am very interested and curious about this game because nobody's talking about it. Like, it came out a while ago and nobody's said a thing about it, I feel. So I don't know what that means. And if you've played the game, I would love for you to tell me what you think of it. Of course, without the spoilers, but what you think of it, because I'm so curious. I don't even know. Anyway, so enough with the introduction. Let's get into it. But I guess a little background in case there's some of you who are watching who don't know. This is a game. This is a Yuri visual novel. It takes place on the East Coast and some of the Midwest of the United States, I assume, which I'm not really familiar with at all. So I'm gonna feel a little disoriented, I guess. But yeah, that's about the setting. I know a little bit about each of the characters. One's a musician, the other one's a workaholic. Appropriately named Amanda Etheridge. Is that a Melissa Etheridge shout out or what? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Anyways, here we go. I just missed something. But you all caught it, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, そうだ。思えば君も入社してから働きっぱなしだったからな。タイミングとしてはちょうどいい。この機に一度リフレッシュしてまた新たな気持ちで仕事に励んでほしい。
You're also legally required to take time off, by the way. That's the subtext of this.
でもまだ先方との調整や発注先へのキャンセル交渉が進んでません。せめてそれらを片付けてからでないと。
残務は部署の残った連中で手分けしてやるさ。俺も当然ね。どれも君じゃなきゃできない仕事でもない。後始末は任せて気にせず羽を伸ばしてこい。
そんな。
Come on, Amanda. Your manager is being real nice and making you take time off. Take it. If only we could all be so lucky. A lot of times it's like, you're legally obliged to take some time off, so go or else you're gonna get fired. Okay. It's like that saying about women in hot water. I'm used to fighting to survive as the water boils around me. But there's one thing I don't think Eleanor realized. Once you're in hot water, being taken out of it makes life even more of a struggle. Yeah, it's true. You get comfortable with what you know, even when it's rough. This is the most important deal for the company this year. I've been chosen to handle this prestigious duty only because of my unfaltering work ethic and unfailing loyalty to the company. We're in charge of advertising a new product from a world-renowned IT company based out of Silicon Valley. They're expecting to ship out tens of millions of units across the world. They had a partnership with a different advertising firm for a long time. However, the job is open now because the old firm suddenly signed up with the competition. Not an uncommon occurrence in New York. A bunch of companies carried out the ritual bidding war, but in the end, our firm won the contract. To hear the company celebrate, you think we just landed on the moon or something. While everyone else was dancing and hugging and screaming together, I, alone and detached, was compiling and arranging all the documents concerning the contract. Like so many relationships and marriages, all that remained of the joyous ceremony that bound the two companies together for a moment was a convoluted legal process and a wealth of compromises. Wow, that poignant is what that is. We'd all heard the stories of the rigorous guidelines our client had for their promotional material, and none of us were all that happy about the prospect of a strict company breathing down our necks. At the weekly meeting, they repeatedly and thoroughly explained their requirements. The plan called for all related staff to work more than 70 hours per week. If we said even 2 words of complaint, they'd lecture us about their aesthetic sense and philosophy for success for another hour. Afterward, that day became known as Poppy Day. Our upper management, suddenly seeming rather disconcerted, started looking for employees who were patient and loyal and who could do their work with precision and without complaint. They needed a capable and hardened person experienced in business. If you believe the rumors, all of upper management apparently got together and unanimously chose me for the job.
アマンダ、深く考えないことだ。もっと突っ込んで言うと、自分で勝手に評価をしないことだ。君の評価をするのは君じゃない。会社に所属している以上はね。そして君を評価する人間の誰も君を責めてはいないんだ。わかるか？
God, have I been in this position before? I feel you, Amanda. I'm a workaholic too. We should go to Workaholic Anonymous meetings together.
理解はしますが、納得はできません。
軍人みたいな物言いをするな。帰ってきたらデスクもポストもなかったなんてことはないから安心して休暇を取れ。
それは指示ですか？
アマンダ、俺はいい上司じゃないかもしれない。君のことを理解してるかと聞かれたらイエスと答える自信もないダメなマネージャーさ。けどこれだけはわかる。君はこのまま仕事一辺倒でいる限り成長できない。
なぜ？
仕事は人生の全てじゃないからさ。人生にはもっといろんな可能性があるし楽しみがある。プライベートに立ち入るつもりもないが、君はもっと外の世界を見るべきだ。そしてそれはきっと君を成長させてくれる。
そういう
のはこれまで散々言われてきたって返すんだろ。わかるさ。でも君ももう学生じゃないんだ。
Now that's an interesting perspective or comparison to make. There's not a lot of hard work done in college. I mean, there is but then you get into the working world and you realize college wasn't that. You don't work that hard in college most of the time. At least in America. I can't speak for the rest of the world. And you say you don't know us very well, Mr. Manager. I think you have a pretty good idea of the type of person you're dealing with.
幸い有給がたんまり残ってる。ホリデーシーズン以外に使わない分を一気に吐き出しておくといい。
わかりました。
言っておくが、アパートにこもって電子ブックを読み漁るのはよせ。余計に気分がめいるだけだぞ。あと実家に逃げ込むのもおすすめしない。気ままなバカンスにでも行けば生きるのがもっと単純だって思えるだろう。
はい。
Since my team had brought the company considerable profit, there were a lot of people within the company watching us. The meetings and discussions with the client's company's president went smoothly. To me, an employee who handles a lot of official business, he came off as someone who was easy to work with. I'm sure I gave him the same impression. I had heard from the start that my counterpart in their company wore glasses. He took notice of my own glasses, which have a fairly well-known design. Then he took off the designer Italian glasses and said with a bitter smile, "I probably don't instill much confidence like this, do I?" It certainly helped break the ice. I didn't notice anything strange about it back then. It just seemed normal at the time. The project kicked off, and our work hours were extended, but I didn't mind. Late on Monday nights, I'd sit at the office eating the same pizza or noodles that I ate at home, while staring at the same screen reading over the same documents. The only real difference was that I couldn't ward off the depression with a nice cold beer or a cigarette like I did at home. Our work was demanding, and we had a hard deadline to meet, but it wasn't too difficult. Maybe it was because they had such a clear vision and strong conviction about what they wanted. We gave form of their vision as faithfully as we could to help them bring it to the rest of the world. The amount of work we had in front of us stretched out longer than any highway. Its completion was further away than the South Pole, and we were aiming higher than we'd ever aimed before, but handling the job that they had given us gave me purpose. I guess you could say it was my calling, at least until that one rainy day.
マネージャーごめんなさいセルラーが壊れちゃってて
アマンダ落ち着いて聞いてくれ例のプロジェクトの件だ
何かトラブルでも
I also love how this project doesn't have a name, it's just the project.
結論から言うがプロジェクトは白紙だ幸いご破産は免れたけど 違うチームに引き継ぐことになった
Oh, I feel that right in the heart. I hate when that happens and your boss is like, it's nothing personal, but for whatever these other reasons are, you're not in charge of this anymore. Oh god, that hurts me. That hurts me.
なんで
悪いことは重なるもんだ君と向こうさんが先週構成したメインビジュアルをデザイン会社が色修正せずに印刷会社に送っちまったで当然向こうはカンカンさ再修正しようにもデータが上書きされてて元のデータを持ってるのが君しかいないときだでも今日は土曜日だぜ君も2週間ぶりの休みだって向こうには言ったんだけどさ関係ない今すぐよこせってさ
そんな
So this like just happened. This rainy day. Because it was sort of weird how we were... Amanda was talking about the project like a flashback, but now it's like we're in the present because this is the beginning of the vacation. I don't know. I'll just keep going.
それが午前中のことさそれから何百回君に電話をかけたかわからないきっとデザイナーや向こうさんからも同じくらい着信履歴があるはずだぶっ倒れてるかと思ったらセルラーの故障か
電源も入らなくてちょうど休みだったし今手続きが終わってたから
じゃあ悪いが今から来てくれ向こうさんデータを今日中に修正して提出しなきゃ損害賠償だって息巻いてるんだついでにチームを変えろと社長に話が言ってるでなきゃ収まりそうもないしもうどうしようもないな
分かった15分で行くから待ってて8時半かいつもより30分だけ寝坊かこれじゃ普通の休日と変わらないわ
I turn on the radio and get out of bed. I have a terrible craving for coffee as I stagger to the kitchen. Even without an alarm clock, my body knows to wake me up at this time. It's a day off for me, but I still feel guilty. I don't bother putting on a shirt or brushing my messy hair, instead going straight to the kitchen, putting some coffee on, and lighting up a cigarette. I don't exactly feel free. Mostly, I just feel empty. So now, what should I do? There's a wide world outside my window, and I have 2 whole weeks off. Most people in my situation would probably feel happy enough to break into song or something, but me? I'm not that good at lying to myself. I check my now repaired cell phone, the cell phone that almost cost my company everything, to find a voicemail from my manager.
アマンダ物事何でも最初が肝心だ今日きちんとプランを立てて明日には旅に出ろ家にこもってるようなら何度でも嫌がらせしてやる
I'm pretty sure you're overstepping your bounds there, Mr. Manager. I bet if I sent this message to the company's HR department, he'd get bombarded with lots of prying questions before noon even rolls around. But strict company rules aside, I know he's right. But there are some things that people like him don't understand. Sometimes the only way to achieve justice is through violence. I don't know how that's related to anything that's going on right now, and I disagree wholeheartedly. That's been proven time and time again, even outside of this country. Righteousness is a sharp spear that leaves deep wounds and can reach the wicked no matter where they hide. That depends on your definition of righteousness, my dear. And that applies to me too. I should forget about work, leave the house, and enjoy my vacation. Those are the right things for me to do now. But where should I go? There's no signs pointing in the right direction or anything. I feel like a foreigner gawking at the route map of a subway in some foreign country. The worst part is that I don't even know where I'm supposed to be headed. The music coming from the radio seems to be mocking my gloominess. It has a patient, wild, and classic feel to it, binding time, familiarity, and newness together. It makes me think of somewhere completely different from where I live out my daily life. After the catchy chorus, a peppy, Hawaiian-style guitar starts playing, and the DJ announces the artist and title with the cheeriness rivaling the songs. The song is named after a place in the South, the capital of Tennessee, a wide-open place with a population of just over 600,000 people. A bastion of country music and an important location in the Civil War. That's all I know about the place. A rural city that I've never been to in my life, and one I doubt I'll ever visit. I absent-mindedly look up images of the place on my phone. Are there incredible experiences waiting for me there? Perhaps a fantastical encounter of some kind. Oh, don't jump ahead with the foreshadowing or anything. Doubtful. Those aren't things I really need anyway. I don't need a change of scenery. I don't need a break from work. I don't even need a moment of respite. Regardless, I leave the dreary room. Looking back, I don't think I consciously knew where I was headed. The flight from JFK Airport to Nashville International took about 3 hours. I loaded a bunch of country music hits onto my phone, but I know I won't have time to listen to them all. Back on the ground, I'm impressed by the sheer amount of guitar-shaped souvenirs they have on display for tourists. The white tourists rubbernecking, their faces flushed, are really easy to pick out from the crowds. I haven't even left the airport yet, but the dry atmosphere and the dust are already stinging my throat. The sun seems to be closer here than back at home, as if the tall buildings in New York were keeping it at bay. The weather is clear and the temperature is 91 degrees. Normally, the heat would grate on any New Yorker, but the dry air makes it feel rather pleasant. The contents of the travel guide I have tucked away in my bag have already been imprinted onto my mind. I wave off a porter asking to help me with my bag as if I've done this countless times. Then I call a cab and point the driver toward a famous hotel in the area. So I've never been to Nashville before, so I'm really curious to see how well the writers of this game know this part of the United States. And if any of you have been to Nashville or are familiar with Nashville, I'd appreciate any kind of comments you have about whether this feels like we're in Nashville. It's not really accurate, it's more of a caricature. If any of you have those opinions, let me know, because I'm very curious. Because, for instance, with Highway Blossoms, I think they did a really wonderful job. It felt like you were in the Southwest, but I can't judge this. I don't spend time in this part of the country. Oh yes, a bar. We should always go to a bar. You know, you might as well just go to a bar when you visit somewhere new, get a drink. After arriving at the hotel, I drop my luggage off at the room and head out to walk around Nashville's own Broadway. I head into a jeans shop to buy some new clothes and change there. I bought a flannel shirt so I don't stand out as much, but I'm a little hesitant to wear the baggy cowboy-style jeans, so I just choose a normal pair. The sun's high in the sky, and for lunch, I decide to munch on some fried chicken and a bit of cornbread while I walk. It's a rather crude kind of food, but it feels more substantial than what you might find in the big city. I'm trying to blend in as I walk and eat, but sharp-eyed men call out to me, one after another. These lowlifes with their thickly accented crude catcalling are getting old really fast. I tossed the chicken bones in a trash can before returning to the hotel. I dropped my clothes off at my room and I'm about to just crash on the bed, but suddenly I have an idea, so I head outside again. There's a horde of street musicians lined up 15 feet away from a colorful bar and country music museum. Some are solo, others are in groups, all of them playing popular songs, competing with each other for people's attention and time. I stop in front of one on a whim, and he gives me a friendly smile. His smile is bright, enthusiastic, and uninhibited. A far cry from my life, that's for sure. I also noticed that a lot of pictures, a lot of the backgrounds like this, they seem to be photographs, or at least modeled very strongly after photographs. And so I wonder if they're real I assume they're real places, based off of real places. I don't know if it's anything, I don't know if they're places people would recognize, but it's an interesting aesthetic choice. Well, we could spend 13 more days in the bar, but I'm sure there's much more exciting stuff to do in Nashville. And suddenly, there's some Tennessee whiskey in front of me. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Way too often. I find no answers in its amber color or its biting scent. The view from inside the glass gets hazier and hazier, and I feel more and more out of it. I have nowhere to go. I feel like a drifter. My cigarette butts pile up on the ashtray, and one after another, and for each one I snuff out, my feelings of helplessness grow. Time slogs by, weighing on me like a block of lead. As I reflect on my life, I realize that all I did in college was study. When I got a job, all I did was work. It's like that Janice Ian song, "Parties were for other people," except I didn't even invent lovers on the phone to invite me to them. Fun fact, Janice Ian does a audiobook version of the first When Women Were Warriors book, which is a great lesbian fantasy epic. Anyways, just thought I'd point that out. That's all I know. I don't really even know her music, but I know she narrates that book and it's wonderful. I spent all my time studying to get into a good college, but to my classmates in my little backwater town, I must have seemed like a study-holic. They were just goldfish living in a tiny bowl. Not that I didn't have friends. I certainly didn't hate being around people. I just couldn't let myself live out the rest of my days in that hick town. I knew what they'd do to me if they really knew about me, though I wasn't in a hurry to test that out. When did I fully realize my preference anyway? There was no one I could talk to about it, so I just pored over magazines and websites looking for answers. But then this goldfish jumped out of the bowl and into the ocean. I thought that there would be endless possibilities waiting for me in the big city. But like many great people have said, an individual's life is shaped only through their actions and their courage. No Prince Charming, or better yet, Princess Charming, is going to sweep me off my feet. I might as well pray for an alien to come take me away for all the good it'd do. There was no one I could tell at college or at the office. Oh, that's sad. I feel like New York would be a more accepting place, but I can understand not feeling comfortable anyways. The only place I could be myself was on the internet, where I was hidden behind anonymity. The internet, where so many people can live their lives openly without the need for facades, where they can freely get involved in one-night stands, long-term relationships, or marriage. But in order to avoid being driven out of that sanctuary by cowards who cannot be honest with themselves, I wove lives into my conversations and tried desperately to escape my offline life.
ねえ、何か軽く食べるものは?
I asked the yawning bartender in a quiet moment when the performance seems to lull. The bands outside are still making as much noise as ever. The scum catcalling me must be waiting for an opportunity to try me again, too. But it doesn't look like such an opportunity is coming. The street is still bustling even this late, and there are too many witnesses to try to force me into a car. I didn't think this flannel shirt would make my chest stand out so much. I'll see if I have any less conspicuous clothes when I get back to the room.
今日はナッツか。
マカロニ&チーズかな。満腹になりたいならミートローフのディッシュでも。
As the bartender hands me a food menu, I see something I'd rather forget about, and I grimace without thinking. Macaroni and cheese. That's a meal I've had too often back at home. It's far from my favorite meal, but besides that, the fact that I'm running into it here just kind of pisses me off. The bartender with his dull expression, and me with my sour one. The sounds of a mic test and a guitar being tuned interrupt the silence between us. I guess the next musician is getting ready to play. Everyone in here seems to have things weighing on their minds. No one's been cheering when a musician is about to start. It seems that despite its necessity, music isn't properly appreciated here.
おい、どうするんだ？他に食いたいものがあるなら一応聞くけど。
いえ、マカロニ&チーズはごめんだわ。もう一生分くらい食べたから。
ハローナッシュビル。もう日が落ちると寂しい風が体を包む季節だね。
The sudden declaration rudely forces me out of my reverie. Is that reverie? I think that's how you pronounce that.
終わった夏の恋を忘れて冬の恋を予感しよう。そんな歌を聴いて。
An angel's voice flows through the rusted mic and right into my soul.
ミートローフがいいわ。それに付け合わせでサラダを。
It doesn't seem strange at all that it takes me several seconds to notice her voice.
3、2、1。
But that voice... Do we not get to hear the music? This is what I've been waiting for my whole life. Oh, there it is. All right, I hope you enjoyed this first video of this series, and I hope you'll join me for more next time. Take care.